Live now. Well, hello, everybody. I know I'm always talking about how shy I am, and I am shy, but I'm less so when I'm surrounded by my friends. And
Yeah.
I am so happy today to have several of my friends here, some of whom I've known for longer than they want to admit they are old. So, but friends nonetheless. So I'm Gail Boyd. You all know that I have Gail Boyd Artist Management. And I'm going to just go down the line. And Karen, introduce yourself, please.
Hello, I'm Karen Kennedy, and I am Gail's best friend, and she is my best friend west of Mississippi, as she likes to say. And I am the founder and owner of 24/7 Artist Development.
And Pat Harris.
Hey, I'm Pat Harris, and I think I've known most of you ladies for at least 20 years. My company is Pat Harris and Associates, and it's affiliated with Love Productions Records, so it's a record label and an artist management company.
Thank you. Michelle Taylor.
Hello there. I'm Michelle Taylor. And Gail, I think I've probably known you close to 25, 27 years or what have
I'm
you.
only 23. I don't think that's possible.
Well, I knew you when you were a baby. But my company is, I'm the founder and president of Passion Music Group. And I've been doing that for quite a while now.
And Ina Dittke.
I'm Ina Dittke, and I know Gail Boyd for too many years, but I love every one of them. And I have my own management and management company and agency, and now I also have a synchronization agency.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And Tulani Bridgewater.
Yes. So I've known Gail since we were both puppies. We'll keep that. But yeah, so I have my own company, Bridgewater Artist Management. I also run DDB Productions and DDB Records, which is a boutique record label. And I am the co-artistic director of the Woodshed Network, which is a nonprofit organization to benefit women in jazz.
Yay.
Yay.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Pat and Tulani, I want you both to talk about this a little bit because in addition to managing artists, I heard you say that you also run a record label. Why did you start that? What made you decide to go off into that? Pat, start with you, and then Tulani, just jump right in.
Well, we started it in the early 90s, late 80s, really. And we started it because we knew we wanted to work together and we wanted to control the output. We wanted to control what we were doing, the music that my husband, Alan Harris, was recording. We wanted to do it in a partnership. And, I had a client, I was working with Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin, and he told me, you cannot name your company Love Productions Records. That's just not acceptable. You have to change it. And we were like, no, we're keeping it. It's going to be Love Productions Records. So we've stuck with it all these years, and we've released 14 albums on that label. And it's been a real learning process, and I always feel like I'm never caught up. How about you, Tulani?
Well, I originally started out with a record label. I started out with Island Records back in the 80s. And that's something that I always was interested in. But also I felt like it was important to just understand as many aspects of the business as possible, knowing that I wanted to go into management. But the label DDB Records actually came out of having to deal with problems. Essentially there was a legal judgment with Dee Dee Bridgewater's previous manager who, without getting into the details, the judgment was that the rights to those masters that were recorded during the time that he was representing her reverted to her. And it became clear, Dee Dee modeled a lot of her career on Betty Carter's career, and Betty, of course, had her own record label. But it also became obvious to us that if we wanted to have any kind of input and control, not only of the material, but also the quality of the output, working with the people we wanted to, really managing the budget in a meaningful way, because there's such a small margin for recorded music in our particular genre, that taking the reins of that was going to be really important. It also allowed us to put out other artists' music and to negotiate on their behalf. So, we have our own label. We do distribution deals. We've had them with several of the majors, but we can also write better deals for the artists who come out on our label. So it's great. I kind of get to do both, and I love it.
That's great.
Karen,
So-
do you still love being a manager?
Do I still love being a manager?
Yes.
That's the question.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been doing this long enough now to feel like I know what I'm doing, but I am wanting to learn more. And so I love aspects of what I do. And
What do you love the absolute most, and what could you do?
Oh, the product.
Yeah.
I love being able to sit and hear the music, whether it's with the artist present or not present, with my client present or not present. I like being in the milieu of space and time and innovation and inspiration and appreciation and love and emotion, all of those things getting encapsulated in this experience. And the experience is partly sound, but it's also partly the physical reaction to the
At the end of the day, that's pretty much right, our reward. That's what I feel like. That's my reward for what I do.
I mean, listen, and there are days when I'm sure we've all had days where we question what we're doing, right? Like, why am I doing this? But at the end of the day, like Karen was saying, I mean, I get to deal with creators and hear music and work in the most creative spaces that one could ever think of. And I just get such inspiration from creators, my clients, creators, just being around the music. Sometimes it's, I said from years ago, like, I get paid to do this. Wow. That's such a blessing.
You get paid. Okay,
you get paid.
Parts that I don't like about my job.
Wait, did I say I get paid?
Oh,
You used to. You used to, yeah.
I keep trying to let Amparo in, and she's
slippery.
It must be her connection.
There she is.
Great.
Amparo, are you there? No.
It must be the internet
She's
connection.
frozen. She's there.
Is she in Spain? Maybe she's in
No,
Spain?
she's in Rhode Island.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. I think she's in Boston.
Oh, she's in Boston. Oh, but the idea of getting paid, what a revolutionary concept.
So here's a question for you guys, though, because no matter how long you've been in this business, you still run against these situations where you do all of this work.
24 hours a day, it feels like.
And hence the name of my company. But we do all of this work, and then you have to sometimes, like chase the money.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean, Karen?
Where you don't get where you have to contend with somebody who said they agreed to pay you for your work, and then they don't pay you.
Pay you specifically or pay your clients?
No. Pay you as a manager.
Oh,
where the client doesn't pay you.
Yeah,
the client
honestly,
doesn't.
To be honest with you, I mean, I haven't had that circumstance.
You're lucky.
No, I am. Listen, trust me, at all. I've never had that circumstance, and I don't know. And I guess if I'm going to work on your behalf, then as we all do, we expect to get paid. But at the end of the day, if you're not getting paid and you have to chase your money, then it's kind of not worth it. You have to decide what you're doing. Like, why are you doing it?
Well, that's why you don't have that client out anymore.
Yeah, I would guess.
Yeah.
Tulani, you don't have to worry about that, right?
Well, no, I mean, so I've had a lot of artists on my roster.
Okay.
Since I've gone independent. But that's part of why I started with Ken Fritz Management, because I knew what a problem it was sometimes from, getting clients to pay you. And so I wanted to really understand how to build in a structure to make sure that didn't happen. But as soon as I went independent, especially because I briefly branched outside of jazz, and that's why I don't work in hip hop or rap anymore, because it was such a problem getting paid. And I found that I was turning into a person I didn't really like, a very aggressive,
Right, right.
someone who was like, I'm going to now engage in casual violence if you don't pay me, kind of thing.
Casual violence.
Casual violence.
Well, and yeah, I
Oh,
understand
seriously,
that.
I think that's honestly, that's part of what pushed me into wanting to work on this nonprofit, because I was like, if I'm going to be giving my labor away for free, I want it to be in a structured, organized fashion, because what ends up happening is you have enough of those recurrences and it poisons the relationship, and then you can't work with the person anymore, and you can't do your best work for them, and then it's a
Right.
lose-lose all the way around.
Right.
So,
That's
but
so
I have had situations where I've had to chase my money, and I kind of think of it like any other relationship. It's like a marriage. If I have to chase you to
Right.
value me, then we shouldn't be in this relationship.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
So
Exactly
we get divorced.
So,
And that's when divorce court is beautiful.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But what's the flip side of that in a way? Like, Karen, if you were to want to take on a client right now, a new artist, what would you be looking for? What?
So to me, it's the same as what I've always looked for. It doesn't change because of this. Where yes, I'm probably wiser, but so maybe I'll ask that question: do you pay your bills? But
good question.
yeah. Okay. Yes. No. But for me, it has to be an intellectual exchange. I need to know that you're smart. I need to know that you are invested in yourself more than I'm invested in you. Because I'm going to invest in you, but if I'm working harder than you are at you being you, that no, doesn't work. And you have to be smart, because I like smart. That is encouraging to me. You know, I don't. Everything is a learning and teaching experience, and that's why I want to work with other smart people, because I want to learn from you.
Mm-hmm.
Amparo, I just can't get her on. She's trying so hard.
Yeah,
no.
it's just her connection.
I wonder if you can hear us.
Yeah,
I don't know. If Amparo, if you can hear us, write it in the chat.
in the chat. Gail, Monty had a good point. He said, I was under the impression that managers took their percentage off the top and then paid the clients.
Is this Monty Alexander asking?
No, Monty Croft.
Monty
I-
Croft.
That is a good question, because Monty, that does happen, I would say
Yes.
most of the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there are times when the client will get paid first, and you
Yes.
have to invoice the client.
Right.
And it's rare,
It's
but it
rare.
does happen that
Yes.
they won't pay you once that happens.
Yes.
And that usually does signal the end of the relationship.
I was going to say, they don't expect to keep working with you then, do they, when they won't pay you?
No.
That's kind of the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you asked what's the flip side of that, Gail, and I'll tell you the flip side of that. I have a client who was paid a bonus on a gig, and he shared that bonus with me.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's a bonus. It doesn't have to be, you know.
right.
I have another client who, actually, one of my favorite stories is actually Dittke's story, because she worked with a very lovely man for 30 some years or so. And I'm dating. Ina, are you frozen?
No.
Mr. Moody.
Oh,
Would that be Mr. Moody?
I can hear you. I can hear you all
Mr.
fine.
Moody. Okay, so I remember you telling me the story how I admired something, a jacket or something, and you saying, "Oh, James and Linda Moody bought this."
Linda.
For me.
Yeah. I still have the jacket. Every time I put it on, I think about what you said.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, no, that is
We are now
the flip
frozen.
side. Yeah.
But I remember you telling me that story, and
Little can. Every time I look at it, I think of what you said. But Gail, may I interrupt here? We
Yes.
did kind of set out to talk a little bit about touring.
Yes.
Immediate
tell me.
future touring during the pandemic.
Yes.
Yes. So tell
Okay,
me, do
talk about it.
you have an experience with touring during the pandemic
Or
Or
How-
not.
or not?
I had in the last 2 weeks, I had 3 incidents. One with myself paying $400+ on visa on PCR tests just to get onto a plane and onto a plane back. another one today asking a friend of mine who is going to the European Jazz Network conference in Tallinn tomorrow from London, paying £200 for PCR tests. Another one, last Saturday, I had a call from a Polish promoter who I have worked with, who had a COVID cancellation for next Sunday, this coming Sunday. And I'm not the only one they called, and they haven't called me back. So obviously I didn't have the replacement they were looking for to fill the concert hall. But this is constant. This is constant going on. The COVID, I mean, I have a tour coming up, and it doesn't matter who it is, what artist it is, but I have a concert tour coming up in October. If these PCR charges are in effect, the tour is completely, I mean, it's already a shoestring tour. And the clubs and venues are not paying for it. They might, the festival, the two festivals might cover some of it, but most of the venues won't cover it. Hey, Amparo.
Sorry, I couldn't get in. I was trying
The
to
costs are so incredible.
But you're here now.
We can see you.
I'm here.
So
Welcome.
Ina, and I think what you're saying is being complicated by the fact that the U.S. has now been ruled not a safe country, and we've been taken off of the safe lists and put on the list that's not safe. And
it is changing daily.
It's changing daily.
It's changing daily.
It's back to what it was in May.
But I think there are ways that we can kind of, like, I've rewritten our rider. I've made a special rider, and I have special addendum that are specifically addressing COVID protocols. I outline what our requirements are. We're requiring all of our band members to be vaccinated and to submit negative tests within 48 hours. And then I have a daily attestation form that every member of the traveling party has to fill out every single day. Wow. And so I feel like, and we have to have their QRC code as well as a copy of their vaccination confirmation. Like I've started to really like internally mandate things so that we can keep touring. And even with all of that, we just this weekend, our musical director at piano and organist, who was fully vaccinated, passed away from COVID. And we just found out today that another member of our band, completely separately and apart, who's also vaccinated. He and his entire family are COVID infected and member of it. So it's something that I think that we as managers and agents, we have to step beyond what anyone else is telling us, because number one, as much as I love this music, I don't want anyone to die from it.
Right. No.
There's that. And then secondly, this is our livelihood. And I don't know about you guys, but there was a period during last year, I don't know when the dates were. They were moved around so many times that I took my route sheet and I was like, whatever, we'll just see where things land. I was like, we're probably triple, quadruple booked on some of these, but it won't matter because it's shifting. And also, sometimes now I look and I go, oh, I have 2 dates on that. And they used to send me into paroxysms of terror. And now I don't even pick up the phone. I send a text message. We're double booked. You got to move one of these. Right. I don't know. Because we're all in that same boat. But from the COVID thing, so, Ina, to talk about, all these tests on the US side, it's very rare that you can't get a test for free. Right. There's usually a county organization or a municipal organization. And then once we get out, so I've written into our rider, we have to know what these COVID requirements and costs are going to be so that we can determine how we're going to handle them. Because especially for the younger artists, where you're just not getting the kind of fees that you can absorb that, I need to know. Because also I got like 11 people in the band. I can't be paying $400 for 11 people.
No.
So I had Kenny Barron out in July for about 3 weeks. And we had done a COVID rider back in May, and we attached it as an addendum to each one of our contracts. And the agents were not necessarily happy to have to go back to but they all did. And everyone signed off on it. And that COVID rider said, yes, we're going to be masked all day long. Everyone around them has to be masked all day long. All my guys are vaccinated, but I also put in there, if any member of the public wants to approach any member of the band, they have to be masked and they still have to socially distance. And they all signed off on that. And they said, oh yeah, we'll try to, keep, and I still do that because it's important, especially if you have clients who love to be around people and they get caught up in the moment, of course.
Yeah.
They've been starved for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
That's really true. Yeah.
So there is that, but there's also, I put in our rider that, and in our contract addendum that the cost of getting a COVID vaccine was incumbent upon the presenter.
I haven't had that kind of luck, Karen. I know you said.
I was going to say most of them did. There was only twice in, like I say, like a 3-week tour where we had to cover the cost. And yes, it was expensive, but I had also budgeted for that.
Right. And this is for Europe.
And this was for Europe.
I have a question.
It's easy.
If I may, Tulani, you say, I know there are all the free testing sites in New York and in Britain, everywhere. I had to go to a place where I had to pay $175 to get the code to get my boarding pass.
The QR code.
So generally, what we've done, because I had,
and I'm not stupid, and like the same thing happened to like the person I know who is going tomorrow to the EJN thing in Tallinn. He's not stupid either. He had to pay £100 for the test to get on the plane, and £100 to come back to have another COVID test. So we check everything. And I went to the place in England and said, like, listen, this is a scam, and I'm not accusing you for the scam. I'm accusing somebody is scamming us somewhere. I could not find any place of the free places to give me a test that I can put a code in to get a boarding pass.
So can I make a suggestion? And it's an expensive one, but if you invest in Clear, I forget what Clear is a biometric way of identifying yourself, and it gets you through a lot of airports easily. But they also now have, you can include they will give you a permanent QR code with your vaccination card.
What is it called?
There it is there.
And this is for those that are watching. This is very important. So Karen, go ahead, continue describing or Tulani.
So Clear it does cost. It's maybe $300 or $400 a year. However, if you know someone who has Clear, I get family passes about every other month that I send them to my family. So you can join for like 3 months and you at a time. You can keep doing that. So it doesn't have to cost you much, but it does allow you to have a QR. You take your vaccination card, you scan it, you put it into your Clear account, and then it automatically generates a QR code. And that you keep on your phone so that it becomes digital.
So Cassandra Jones said.
So that is for U.S. citizens.
And then there's also, Clear is international, and then there's also an app for, I don't know if they have it for Android, but I know for sure they have it for iPhone, called Pass to You, that allows you to actually create your own digital passes so that you can scan and add things in. So like I was able to get insurance cards digitized so that I can carry them with me in my phone. But you should look into it, because I know
what is it called, Tulani?
That one's called Pass to You. But then there's also there PASS and then the number 2 and the letter U. There's also a company, I believe they're nationwide, Carbon Health, and then Healthvana. And they work with most of the states and the municipalities in the US for getting these QRC codes. And I would show you mine, except I know that we're not supposed to do that because they tell us.
Right. Yeah, you can't share that.
So I have my QRC code I'm also through Clear able to get the specialized QRC codes. Like if you have someone traveling to Hawaii, they have to get a special one with their Department of Health, and they reciprocate. But most of the airlines now are providing links. You have to dig for them. They're a drag to find. But you can find links to these organizations online who can upload your vaccination card, and they can also direct you in some cases to testing sites. I don't know how it is in Europe, obviously, or other countries. I haven't left the United States since COVID started, so I only know the US side of things. But I'm sending people to, overseas, and they're able to get in and out without incurring these crazy costs.
I was able to
With the
get.
test, though? What about the test? How is it keeping them from?
Yeah, I'm able to get them. They're not having to get rapid tested. They're able to present, and they're getting waivers.
So the vaccine is eliminating the need for getting tested in Europe. Is that right?
Totally
that's what it should do.
It totally depends. Yeah,
Depends
because some places, and you don't know until you get there sometimes. So we just, when we did our tour,
it doesn't in the UK. Definitely not. Then you have, for example, Sweden this week on last week, September 7th, 6th. No US citizen can enter Sweden, but you can enter when you come from a Schengen country.
Exactly true. Because now, if the
when you enter from a Schengen country,
wait a minute. If the venue,
as long as you don't come direct.
If the venue gives you a letter that says that you are culturally significant to their country, and of course jazz is, that's a waiver and that allows you to still get into Sweden. I just found that out because I was freaking out about that. Let me ask Amparo, who we finally got on, and before we lose her, have you sent anybody overseas yet? Amparo, tell the audience who you are and what your company is.
No, not yet. Not yet. I didn't start working yet. I didn't see the situation clear, and I'd rather to wait until next year.
So who do you book? I mean, not who do you book, but you book in the United States or just primarily in Europe?
Just Europe, just Spain and Scandinavia.
Okay. So have you been following the COVID protocols in Sweden and Norway? Because I understand in Norway you can't get in at all now.
Right, but I mean, since I'm focused for next year, so especially for the summer of 2022, we have to wait to see what is going to happen. The first things I have booked, they are in actually I have something booked in January in Norway, and later in May and July. So we don't know yet because, like Ina says before, it's changing every day. So we'll see when the time arrives.
The best thing to do, and this is what I had to do this whole summer, is to just go on to every country's government site and look at protocols, because that'll be the most up to date. That'll give you at least some information. And Gail, there's a question in the chat about.
I see that. Can you all address artist fees in the current market, and also audience size and venue protocols? Big thanks for sharing your conversation. And that's Margie Elliott Farmer, who is an actually really great agent. She is an agent for Rhiannon and Hobgood and others. So hi, Margie. Sorry I didn't have you on here. But artist fees, as far as I can see, I haven't reduced them for going forward. They're the same fees that they are. And in terms of audience size and venue, that is a presenter issue because some of them in certain markets cannot have 100%.
Right.
And so they are dealing with, maybe I've had a couple of them say, can you do 2 shows so that I can have 100% over the course? And if it's on the same day and sort of the equivalent of like 2 sets, that's okay. But if they want me to come back the next day and do another whole set for the same money, it's like, no, that probably won't work. So no, the fees, as far as I can see, are remaining about the same.
Yeah, and I would also add that insofar as venue protocols, it varies. Some venue protocols are extremely strict, and they're mandating vaccines for all of their patrons, and they do, you know, a 50% or 60% capacity. It depends, and they're very strict about it. And then there have been a couple of venues where they weren't strict about it at all, and they didn't even mandate masks. And in that regard, we've had to mandate. We've had to issue our own protocols. You know,
have you turned down any offer because they do not have any protocols?
No, but we've issued our own protocols that they've agreed to. You know, like we don't do Q&As, anything like that. No backstage access, no access to artists. Every driver has to be masked. You know, the hotels have to have their own protocols. So, you know, we haven't turned down any offers, but if they don't have their own protocols, they have to sign off on ours.
And what I'm finding is that some states that are the kinds of states that are saying no mask required, no vaccine.
Correct.
And all that. If you mandate vaccines or mask requirements, they have to adhere to that. So make sure.
Well, that's up to the presenter, though.
Huh?
That's really up to the presenter, if the presenter wants to do it.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't sign up to it, then it's your choice not to go.
Yeah.
But if you mandate it and they want your act, then they will mandate it even if the state doesn't require it.
What I've noticed though is that most of the venues are really amenable, and they feel it's in their own interest to do that. So we haven't gotten any pushback, and we've done performances. We even did a few like in the throes of the first wave of the pandemic, and they kept the same fee, they kept the same venue, and they just did it live streamed. So I think the technology element has allowed for some of these things to continue on in a way that we, you know, are thrilled that they were able to adapt. But
you just brought up, Tulani, you just brought up something about streaming. That
A whole another ball of wax.
I'm ready to climb into that because it seems that that's a whole new revenue stream for the presenter. If he wants to charge an outside audience. And how have you all found the presenters being willing to share some of that income with you? I mean, I have found it to be the case.
I have as well. They're willing to work on percentages based on how many times they're going to show the stream.
Is that in place of a live performance or in connection with a live performance? In other words,
I mean, actually, because I've had contracts written where it's been filmed for a live stream and post broadcast, and I've had them done where it's only been the live stream and no audience present.
Right.
You know, it depends, and it depends upon what you can get for your artists.
Right.
Watching the Detroit Jazz Festival go totally live stream was an interesting experience. Tulani, you know, your mom and Kurt Elling did an amazing job on that stage with a full orchestra, and I was in the audience. That was me. It was really weird.
You were that one person.
Yeah, I was the one. I'm watching on Facebook.
But Pat, how did you get in?
Well, I had a mask.
No, in Detroit, because I had clients in Detroit too, and we were told you couldn't even if you were an artist there, you couldn't go to another artist's performance.
Right.
Well, you know what? They said that, and it was you had a wristband that allowed you. You had you were fully masked. You signed. I did all the COVID protocols, but when I agreed for Alan to do the performance, I wrote myself in there. So I went, and I was able to do that.
They were being pretty strict about it, but you could finagle it.
Yeah.
You could finagle it.
Right.
But I've seen a couple of contracts though where they say I am paying you X for the live performance and streaming. And they're not even saying whether they're charging.
So and I've had presenters approach me with that, and I've rewritten it.
Okay.
I've separated it out. It's like, nope.
Yeah.
We do different things. Because Gail, because you taught me, Gail Boyd, attorney at law, you taught me that those are two separate IP uses.
Yes.
And therefore,
absolutely right.
We can't.
Absolutely
so
right.
Any artist listening to this,
right?
You should really know that a live performance is separate from a stream performance, and you have every right to say you want two separate contracts.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I tell them they have to issue a broadcast agreement. It's the streaming agreement. It's the same structure.
Yes.
It's
We have a question. What is the most important to each of you in deciding to represent an artist, talent, or temperament? Which? Talent
or temperament?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Good question, Cecile.
yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, for me, you kind of have to have talent, but at the same time, I'm not going to deal with any BS either. What we do is it's every day, it's all day, and
Somebody said, ouch.
sorry,
Ouch.
but for real, I mean, we deal with enough. We're representing our clients to the best of our ability, and we work hard, and for all of us, it's our passion, it's what we do. And you have to know as a client that we're representing you, and we get enough BS from the other side, from the presenters and other people that are coming our way, because we're trying to represent your best interest. So I really don't expect to have to fight with you as the client. I mean, there will be times when we don't agree. That's normal. But a constant, I'm not going to push and pull all the time with my client. I'm just not going to do it. And so for me, talent is important, but temperament is, that's important too. I don't know if I can really decide which one is more important than the other. They're both really important to me anyway.
Pat?
Me too. I mean, talent, you have to be inspired by the art, by the music. Otherwise you're just working, might as well just be plowing a field. It's got to be something that inspires you. But if the client isn't amenable or isn't, if they're not really delving into what they're doing to the fullest extent and supporting you and not questioning your every move, it's like a marriage, right? You're completely involved in their lives. I mean, you talk to each other at really strange times, and it's very, very personal. So it has to be, you have to have a good relationship. So it'd be very hard. I often wonder, I mean, I manage other artists right now. I'm down to only 2, but I manage my husband, and it's hard enough to manage, getting him to trust me, my God. And then you get so I always wonder about that. And that's definitely something I think about when I go with an artist.
And I think trust is paramount. Trust is paramount.
Oh, that is, yes. Without that, you have nothing.
Talent or temperament, Ina?
Oh, well, it's definitely for young artists, for up and coming artists, has to be talent, originality, and for them to listen a lot. Yeah. If they don't listen, why bother? Mm-hmm. For middle of the road, the one in the middle, we have discussions. And again, if we disagree too much, then we might as well part ways. I did have a few star artists where I had to swallow a lot and keep my counsel. But they were stars. So they were, take Mary Makeba. I mean, Mary Makeba and I, we had our moments. But would I walk away? No. She was too, she could actually do pretty much whatever she wanted. But sometimes put her foot down. So, but from young and up and coming out, they do have to work with you. They do have to take your advice. And if they don't take your advice, why bother?
I didn't mean to cut you off, Nina. Amparo, talent or temperament? Which is more important to you?
I think temperament, because I'm not a manager, so I'm an agent. So usually with the artists, I mean, I don't talk to them about business or careers or anything. Mm-hmm. So I usually talk to you guys and about the artists or the deals or whatever we are going to do. But I mean, my relation with them is always in the field. So it is different. So because it's kind of more personal, because usually we all are touring and they are tired, and sometimes they are really tired. And because they are coming from another country, they play the same day. And sometimes it's a little bit like, everybody has to understand the other side. But for me, it's more, more in the field, more personal, that situation, because I never talk to an artist about business. Never.
Yeah.
This is something. It's not what I have to do. I mean, it's not part of my job. I talk about business with who I have to talk about business, but in this case, not with the artist, because for me, it's management, the one I have to talk about these things, or careers,
Makes sense.
stuff like that. So,
Okay, Tulani, talent or temperament?
I think that they are intrinsically linked. I have worked with really talented, terrible people. I learned, yeah,
That was
and
fun.
I learned that you really can't separate the two. So I would say that it's a third thing. It's really about respect. If I respect your craft, your art, you respect me and what I do, then there are certain lines that won't be crossed. And I found that really, I can put up with, I was born into musicians, so I understand crazy, I get crazy. Like, if you're inside the circus big top all the time, that's fine. But when you don't respect the people you're around, then that's where things become impassable. You can't work together.
you can.
Okay, Karen?
Or when people have amazing expectations, it's that you just can't be fulfilled. They think that that's very hard to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to respect, because if I tell you I can't get you on the cover of a cereal box, you just had your first pull out, you tell me yes you can, why can't you? Then you don't respect my judgment.
Right.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Karen.
Well, I think Tulani really hit the nail on the head there. I think respect is a huge factor. It's something that, we grew up saying, your parents said, you have to earn my respect, or, something like that. And there is truth in that. Yes, you do have to earn the respect of each person, and respect goes in line with trust. I don't expect someone I'm working with for the first time to trust me, but I do expect them to respect me and what they've heard. And then as our experience goes on, you can decide whether, that respect is valid or not. So I think talent is important, obviously. However, I've worked with people who've had less talent than others.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And because of their temperament, they have had more success than more talented people.
Yes.
Sure.
And as we've all said, we've worked with some very talented folks too, and maybe they haven't gotten as far as what they expected, based on their talent, because they have lacked they have lacked the ego is a strong thing. And like Tulani, I grew up around a lot of entertainers, primarily sports figures, and it was never, to me, ego. I don't care. Everyone has an ego. I can deal with ego, not an issue. It goes back to me wanting to work with smart people. Smart people make decisions based on their ability to listen and to think and to process.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can do that, then we've got a running start at doing something really significant. And that's what I want. I want that partnership. I don't want to feel like I'm doing this or you're doing it. It's got to be a partnership. Otherwise, it is not fun for me.
No.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
It is,
and that's part of the inspiration of working with artists, is the creativity you get to express as well.
Yeah,
because that's the fulfillment part. Yeah.
Gail, what about you? Gail?
I would say that it has to be almost temperament first in a way, because that is what will keep me in the game to see whether or not I feel like I can do something with you. I mean, and usually in my experience, when it doesn't work out, it's because I misjudged the temperament, not the talent.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
I have to say that sometimes the talent is through the roof, but the temperament is something that I just misjudged. And I think Michelle always says that I have more patience than anybody on the planet.
On the planet.
You get on my last nerve.
Yeah.
You were way up.
Yes.
We're already done with you as your friends.
Listen,
We're like,
when Gail gets mad at you, you're bad. You're not.
You've really messed up.
Okay, we have one last question. I'm having so much fun with you all.
This
But we
is
have
great.
one last question that I think is really key. And I'm going to go first on this. Do you think that presenters should have the right to choose side folk foreign artists?
nope,
Absolutely not.
nope,
No.
nope.
But I had that experience.
Have to choose what?
I had that experience
Side
last
musicians.
week.
Or
When they
guest
want-
artists.
Wait.
Right?
Or guest
Or
artists.
guest artists, yeah.
Yeah, they
I
want
didn't hear you. I didn't hear what you say.
No.
No. Wait, Amparo didn't
Too
hear.
many people talking.
So the question is, do you think that presenters should have the right to choose the side person for an artist?
Oh no.
Right, I say
No.
I had
No.
this experience last week.
They'll
where
try.
they
It's
wanted to
artist
do it
department. It's
but they
artist
didn't.
department to say and decide with who they want to play or to do their thing.
That's
Not
right.
the presenters.
It goes back down to respect, because
That's right.
you wanting to choose what you think who somebody should work with, says that you don't trust
Right.
their own judgment, and you certainly don't respect their talent and their ability. I mean, they got here. I don't care how old they are. They could be 15,
Right.
but they got to that stage based on decisions that they've made and the people around them. Now,
So you got to trust them that they
You gotta
hired
trust
the
them.
right side person
yeah,
for the
But
show.
they can make a suggestion because
And the
sometimes
presenter can
they
always
got like
choose not to book
like
the
an
artist.
idea and they would like to see this one with the other one, but it's up to the musicians to decide if they want
That's
to do it or not.
That's right. So this has been great. We are
And
almost.
Can
out
we
of
just
time.
acknowledge the passing of George Wein?
I was just going to
Oh,
say
yeah.
that.
Hey.
Yes. I asked you all earlier if you all had George Wein stories, and we all had so many. We couldn't choose, but he was seminal in all of our lives, you know, and he had a fulfilling life, and may he rest in eternal peace.
Amen.
He
Yes.
seemed like he'd live forever. It's a shock
I
that
know.
he's gone.
I know.
Right?
I know.
And Phil Shapp the same
Well,
week.
Oh my
less
God.
than
Phil
two,
Shapp, I
less
mean,
than
who-
2 months
I
ago,
know.
we enjoyed Newport.
Yes.
That's true. So
Yeah.
We
listen,
enjoyed being at Newport on the golf cart.
I've got great taste because you all are all my great friends. You make me relaxed. And I thank you all so very much for doing this. We had
Thank you.
like a ton of people watching it already, and I just love you all so much. Thank you.
Back.
Thanks, Gail.
Gail, this is a love fest.
It is for sure.
Thank you.
And
Thank
good
you
to see
very
you
much.
guys.